How you doing? I'm about to turn 61. I have no way of knowing if somebody will come across any of these tapes and be glad they saw them. Media has always betrayed the Kennedys. I'm not a Kennedy, no, but I'm a Kennedy child. I remember JFK being my president when I was very young. I was born in the last months of Eisenhower's presidency to a family that knew Eisenhower. My father was at Teachers College with Dwight Eisenhower. He was a naval lieutenant who ended up going into philosophy of education. His early pamphlets on peaceful use of atomics was part of the Atoms for Peace program of Dwight Eisenhower, who he knew personally a little bit. He was also in the Peace Corps as a leader after World War II, where he served as a naval lieutenant. And in that sense, what was done to me by the media is part of the legacy of media's betrayal of the Kennedys. It's a strange story because media ducked what was happening. And that's how they created alignments of ideas about how power operates that have been accepted right up to now. And you can tell that story, but it's complicated, or you can just accept what media does about it, which is simple. They duck the issues. They present something from Schwarzenegger and Robert Fripp and Trump in a sort of half-serious way, to the effect that I was pigeonholed in a script that only Oliver Stone truly grasped when Migno went and David Lucarelli of Fox Studios, who was married into my family, to find and keepers it, slipped it to Warhol and Yoko Ono, where they announced behind my back that they had discovered the mystery. This mystery put me in a pigeonhole. The 60s were a time people would like to forget because of all of the sex, drugs, and rock and roll that was going on, which was a little remorselessly dovetailed from the civil rights movement, search for human rights, equality. Fundamental truth of that period was that the NAACP saw King as being insubordinate, mutinous in his reading of Ho Chi Minh, who JFK was aware of too. Bob Hope has said that he thought JFK was moving in the direction of ending the war. So, before it really began, by the way. But once they had me in this pigeonhole, in this mystery, which they ducked the issue of, they covered up how I was used in a series of Holocaust simulation experiments. I was gassed as a child. The script came from Israel. They used me in genocide pornography. And they just hushed all that and said, send in Midori Goto, the Japanese status queen, who's the opposite of a status of a man from a ship in the Navy, and start a whisper campaign. This man who's been pigeonholed as mysterious could have saved John Lennon. It was a storyline that is grossly divergent with what was really going on. But they laid it on thick and heavy. They plastered it with all sorts of stuff. And I'm mistaken the spirit of John Lennon's community, reached out to try to get help stupidly from them. And that was, when they cackled and really ripped my head off and tortured me and killed Searcy Kennedy, raped my deaf advocate, murdered my deaf coach, and all of these other things that they did. Because the Great Circle Council, the Grand Wizards of the Bohemian Grove, only include Reagan and Putin and Trump and Lennon, the headmaster Bush, and maybe puppet Obama. That's an easy sell, could have saved John Lennon. Says things like that about us. So, we're getting even by murdering Searcy. And it doesn't, you can say it seals like a seal in wax. The NAACP people were on it, they said, oh, he was white, so he doesn't deserve any kind of justice. This is a new age, a new gimmick. And they called the white bitch before they murdered Searcy. It was their war cry. And you can't get into the mechanics of what really happened without things being as complicated as they look. So instead, they duck the issue and smother and candor, as Nixon used to say. We have this guy who's pigeonholed. Just forget all of the details because he's a white. He's been tortured, so what? Rape his deaf advocate, and Midori's not going to stand for him ducking Texas queers, yeehaw, and terrorizing him with contagion, poisoning in the mouth and stuff. And they were helping the people who sat upon us then with COVID, but that's another thing, just duck it. And we'll bring on a bigger world, And, Operation Butcher World, just kill a bunch of stuff until people get used to stop being squeamish about God's dominion over the planet Earth, or whatever they think about, all that stuff is, And one of the things that really upsets me is that they hide behind Greta Thunberg, who I don't think knew much about any of this. She just Arnold Schwarzenegger's sort of insurance policy. You don't want to listen to Mac because somebody will, slap that little girl around. That's what all Mac, he's a dangerous one. So, media betrayed the realities. They keep things simple. They duck the issues, and they sort of smush it in your face, But the real criminals in this case were people like John Schulman, Peter Gabriel, and Migna Wen, who conspired to sell this idea of Holocaust simulation experiments in the name of Reagan and Lenin as a form of getting people used to the idea of these kind of genocidal beg kills, And they didn't try to stop them. I mean, they were never interested in ecology before. It's not that being interested in ecology isn't a good idea. I've always thought so. But, their idea of ecology was to get rid of a lot of people. I'm sure you've heard it, and talks about, well, we're so many people, that's the real problem, So, it's creepy. What I think people should do is look at the details of the facts and prevent them from ascending to power. We should do something about ecology that's intelligent with people who are innocent. Disempower these people who pulled this miasma of authoritarian sadism. And it's just really sad. You know, I don't offer myself as any like icon. They've brutalized me and destroyed me. They have no compunction whatsoever about doing that, you know. The whole idea of making me a laughingstock and an object of derision was what they answered with when I reached out for help. You know, I didn't at first believe it was Reagan, but the way they responded had a way of rubbing in who really was and what they were really doing. You're not supposed to be allowed to talk about it. I don't know. Yeah. Media betrayed the Kennedys.